Control it. Alright, so I just played some footage of a game a few minutes ago, and this is the creator of that game. He showed up here while I was talking like deep politics with this guy. So introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Thomas Newlands, and I made Softfriends here that's showing the Mild Rumpus.
Yeah, it's an indie game. What's the rumpus here? Can you tell them about this this place?
So, the Mild Rumpus is a milder version of the Wild Rumpus in the UK. They generally showcase experimental games. Here, sort of much more relaxed, kind of respite from rest of the conference. Respite.
Yeah,
respite.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes,
he's from the States. Trust me. From Portland. All right. A mutual place of arts. You are a fine artist, right?
Yeah. I studied at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago for a couple of years, and I'm finished my undergraduate degree at the University of Oregon right now.
All right, so I'll just kind of like throw a random one at you. Did studying music influence your? Because they saw how the game was if they look at the video, but is there any musical influence on this at all?
I didn't study music.
Oh, you just he is a musician, and like me, has not studied it and can do better than people who have.
I'm not really a musician.
No, he's not a musician either. I am totally right. What did you?
But
I thought you said you did fine arts music.
No. I just said fine arts, and I must have fumbled and forgot.
Okay, so what art? What medium do you do?
I mean, I was studying. So the School of the Art Institute of Chicago had this amazing new media program. So they have this history, like, started by, what's his name? I'm sorry. Around like the image processor and like this kind of copy it right kind of ethic, which is all about like really sharing ideas and kind of glitch and. That was kind of the field that I was studying, basically. It was around like computer art.
Right. I was luckily enough, I was at the Sundance. They did a New Frontier like exhibit where they have a bunch of like VR mixed with like physical, like so you'd have like a display on your like arm, and when you move, like the screen would change or something like that, for example. So like just your game, for example, is all about the control and how the controls change or how they relate to each other in different ways than you would expect, right? So it's playing with your expectations to some degree, right?
Yeah.
So then in that case, let me rephrase the question with visual arts, because it is a very visual game, but I think you're using procedural stuff there, right? No? Is it handcrafted patterns?
There's like a procedurality to how the bumps move on their own. If you let them go, but each surface is derived from a very fixed set of textures, basically. So it's like a flip book in some ways.
Oh, okay, cool. I see what you're saying. So you would make an animated 2D pattern of some sort, like hand paint in some way?
They're from images, like pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did photography to source your textures, no? What kind of images?
I used a website. Texture library online.
Oh, cool. Open source, kind of just random patterns and stuff like that?
Yeah, I wanted to find kind of continuity between images. So if you notice, like it'll move from kind of grassier images that are like noisier to like more smooth kind of brick patterns.
Okay. Were they real life objects, images, or were they just abstract?
Yeah.
It was real life things like bricks and mountain tops and stuff like that? Okay, and then you've abstractified them into some sort of like, what, a 0 to 1 basis?
Yeah, so the way that the shader works is it displaces a three-dimensional surface, basically using the colors of the texture.
Oh, okay. So like, if you have a setting on one level, say like, oh, use red channel for the intensity of the design.
Exactly, the intensity of like the elevation.
Cool, cool. What's a weird image that you used that came up with something you didn't expect?
One of them, so I mix in the grass section, there's like a forest image that actually like evokes a similar kind of sensation to the rest of the grass.
Interesting.
It's interesting that at two very different scales.
It's a fractal right there.
Yeah, it totally is a fractal kind of pattern.
Okay, so you're able to break down photographic evidence of the fractal nature of reality. We have scientific proof. It's empirical. We are all in a simulation. Run away. Watch out. All right, well, poor connection. Hopefully this uploads clean later, but I think, is there anything random you want to I got a lot of people that are just learning programming, for example, using blueprints.
Oh, I see.
So like they're not using coding. I mean, I don't know, what's your take on that in general? Like we were talking about the perception of whether it's like too easy or whether people are learning the incorrect ways, or like if it's just cool to, like, for example, what you did, you just kind of like take something and change it, like do something different.
Yeah, I think it's really valuable that tools are accessible to as many people as possible. I think the fact that, like, video games have all this potential, I think, to be a very open medium, and kind of are, but they're guarded behind like tools that are often like kind of cryptic and complicated. Like this game utilizes a lot of shader techniques that are related to like the demo scene, for example, which is a really amazing kind of field of like people trying to make the most efficient algorithms to produce the most beautiful graphics possible. And they do so basically by condensing their code to a point where it's often not legible. So it's accessible to other people who can speak the language, but it's really difficult to share that kind of, it's really difficult to share that with an outsider, basically. Those techniques become, it's a rabbit hole in a lot of ways, and I think it's valuable that people who come in from kind of outside perspectives, like writers or sculptors, and games actually have a really rich history of that, and I'm really excited by tools like Fernando Ramayo's like Doodle Studio 95, which he's been showing a little bit here, where you can draw directly in Unity and produce these kind of sprite sheet animations to just drop in. It makes things easy. For example, I've taught classes in Scratch, which is this online like visual node-based or block-based editing system for students. It's all open source, so like you can remix other people's
little
Scratch
blocks of code
sketches.
That you say, well, this will do that intended result, but you don't have to know what the code is inside that block. You're just doing the result.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And
yeah, it's like nodes, blueprint nodes.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. And you can copy other kids' blocks and stuff, and it like is actually this really kind of utopian environment where, because if you're young, money probably doesn't matter. Like they're able to just share and kind of play with each other's work. It's largely targets like an adolescent youth kind of age range.
Okay, like Legos and stuff, but like in an approachable form.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. And I think having a space like that for older folks to just be able to like kind of quickly assemble games and open source them. There's actually this website, Glitch, that just came out by the people who made Trello.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Trello. Shout out, Evan. You know what I'm talking about.
Glitch is really exciting because it takes the same ideas behind Scratch. I don't know if they're citing Scratch as direct inspiration, but any piece of code in Glitch you can remix. So there's this idea that code doesn't belong to kind of any one person, that you can take a piece and kind of transform it into your own thing and learn by basically playing around.
Sure. I think you see that in a lot of industries, like, for example, accessibility in the terms of, for film, when you have this blowout of people buying 5D2s or 5D3s like myself and making movies for like no money, and then you have a lot of results from that. Like you got like you get this oversaturation, but you also have the ability to do it yourself. So you've got like, I don't think it's so much of a con, but you have this thing to consider that now there's just so much stuff being made that now there's almost another opportunity, like you're saying, of sharing all this stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Like I was saying before, like if you have a wooden texture, or like with Substance Painter, they have like 1,000 textures that you can just play with, right? And it's just like, who's gonna know that that one chrome texture is like your chrome texture? And it's like the same idea with drumming as a musician. People like, you can't just copyright the 4/4 beat, you know? It's like boom, bat, boop, boop, bat. That's universal. So, but you have code, which there's a lot of like creativity involved with writing it. Right? But then this is a service that's saying facilitating. When you write code with us, then it's going to be open source in a way.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing against like being credited for your work or making interesting things. I do think it's really valuable to acknowledge.
I just think it's a cool future where we're seeing the opportunity to use these shared resources and make really cool things with them now that are valid. Because it's not just like there's the 5 textures that are available for you to use and everyone's going to know. There's so much that there's such a wide pool of available resources and tools that I think you can use these user-friendly things.
Yeah, I also think having a larger number of people and greater access to tools opens up a whole field for experimentation, especially like the Portapack was really important for film, like video artists, because it made shooting film like at least not like prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
And I've seen that kind of happen with game engines, basically. That Unreal is free, Unity's free. I'm seeing other engines like Godot, which is open source, popping up. And with more accessible tools, see more people who can afford basically to really play around with the medium or come from totally different fields. And I think having that diversity of perspectives is really, really valuable. And even if that means maybe a sensation of being surrounded by
oh my god, we're surrounded by devs!
Being surrounded by devs, and who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, it's a cool place. You want to hang out with all the cool people.
Yeah.
Alright, well that was a great ending statement there, so I think the one person who's actually watching this poor connection, but it'll show up on YouTube later on, so this video will be up there forever for you to look back on. Like, this guy's famous, oh my god!
No.
Alright, well thanks again. Take care, Thomas.
Okay, take care.